Today on the channel, it's the best list there is, the best list there was, the best list there ever will be. It is the Kyle Peterson Top 5 Bret Hitman Hart. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Kyle Peterson Top 5 video. This is a time where I find figures in my collection. It could be Bret Hart's like we're doing today. It could be Ric Flair's. It could be my top 5 LJNs, top 5 Marvel Legends, top 5 NECA Ninja Turtles. It go on for days, but this is the top 5 list. These are Kyle Peterson, my personal top 5. And what I'm going to ask you guys is, get your top 5 together. Make sure you put them down in the comments and let me know your top 5. And like I said, these are my opinion. This is my top 5, so I can't wait to see what yours is as well. And Bret Hitman Hart, no stranger to people of my age, that's for sure, as I grew up with Bret Hart. My first remembrance of Bret Hart, I gotta be right after WrestleMania 3. So that's when I started to watch wrestling, and obviously it was him and the Hart Foundation, Jim Neidhart, Jimmy Hart, and I remember going back watching stuff too when they first came in. I remember the Andre the Giant, I want to say the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but the one where Andre won the Battle Royal, and you had the Hitman in there and stuff like that. But I go a long time with the Hitman. Basically got to follow most of his career, his total WWF and his WCW career. I was there of age watching it, following along, and I loved the Hitman. The Hitman was one of my favorites at the time. I always loved his style of wrestling. I always loved that mat-based style. He helped set the standard for my favorite era is the WCW era, or one of my favorite eras, I should say, is the Malenko, Guerrero, Benoit days, and I thought Bret Hart had a lot to do with some of that kind of stuff, as Bret would have fit in great if he was of age of those guys and in there when they were really getting after it. But I love Bret Hart, and a lot of you guys do out there as well. New documentaries on Bret Hart on A&E in the last week or so. Just a lot of Bret Hart nostalgia going around. I said no better time to do a Bret Hart top 5 than right now. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to count it down like all the other videos. We're going to go from number 5 and count it down to number 1. So let's start it off. Let's start with number 5. And this is one nobody will have on their list probably. If you do, kudos to you. I was kind of going back and forth. And what I always do with these is I look through my collection. I look at all the Bret Hart figures. I say, okay, where do I want to go? Where do I know? There's some that really stick out, but then I have to look and go through them a little bit. So I take my top 5 out. I sit on it, and I sleep on it for a day. And then I come back the next day. Is this still my top 5? And this is how it came out to me. And there's a couple of surprises in here, and a couple of ones you're probably not going to be surprised of course. But let's kick it off with number 5 with a deep cut that probably nobody had on their list. We're going to Jakks, and most people are going to say, oh, Jakks class superstars? Nope, Jakks Unmatched Fury. Now, this is a little bit cheating, maybe possibly, as this is a figure, but it's also a statue. It's almost Todd McFarlane-esque. No articulation really on this one, but this one always caught my eye back in the day. These Unmatched Furies, some of them are just absolutely stunning, amazing, and some are the hottest of hot garbage you'll ever come across in all of your travels. Bret Hart, one of the best ones ever. The pink and black attack, as they say. Just, I love the looks of this Bret Hart. Always thought it was really cool. It stands out on a shelf then. It stands out on a shelf now. Not quite a figure, like I said, more statue-esque, but I still absolutely love this Bret Hart figure. Slam dunk. Looks great in my collection, and one of the few of the Unmatched Fury lines I have. You guys know I have a few of them out there, but this Bret always catches my eye with the pink, the sunglasses, kind of the Bret Hart hand gesture. Absolutely love this one. Very much a sleeper in the Jakks lines as a whole, and definitely even in the Unmatched line. And this figure is very expensive these days. Really shot up in value over the last few years. So very cool, and that is why this Bret Hart Jakks Unmatched Fury is number 5 on my list. All right, number 4 time in the top 5 Bret Hart figures of all time in my personal top 5. I keep wanting to say that because some people argue and say, oh no, this should be there. But it's my personal top 5. You put your personal top 5 in the comments. But number 4 is our first trip to Mattel. And Mattel has had a lot of Bret Hart figures between Basics, Ultimate Edition, and then the regular Elite lines. And most of the time they really nail the Bret Hart figures. As of late, they seem to have been struggling a little bit with some Bret Harts, especially the hair in the face. He doesn't have to be hair in the face all the time. I know that's been talked about ad nauseum, but hopefully they kind of rectify that. We get some better Brets here in the future. But one Bret that is really a sleeper one, I didn't think a lot of this as much as when it was released. I picked it up. I said, oh yeah, day one pre-order, I'm picking this bad boy up. But over time, this one has really grown on me. And when I look at my shelf of Bret Hart, my Elite collection, this is one of the ones that really sticks out. And it's a moment in time figure. This is a one-off figure. You only did this one time, but it was Bret Hart when he won King of the Ring. Do you remember this Ringside Collectibles exclusive? Scepter, crown, robe. Very, very cool. This is setting up his feud with Jerry the King Lawler when Lawler was just entering into the WWE, WWF. But this one really catches your eye, and it's so different than all the other Bret Hart figures because it's a one-time moment in time when he wore this getup. But I love it when they do stuff like this. Characters like Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, you truly can never get enough of those. They're always going to sell out there. And once you get all the iconic looks out, you got to go, okay, what can we do that's different? And I love these moment in time different ones that are just a one-off stuff. I would love to see more figures that way. I know some collectors out there say, oh, you only wore that once. It's not that big a deal. I don't like that. But for me, I love this. And like I said, it spoke to me on my shelf. I sit there and I look at it and say, gosh, this one really pops out. This one I like a whole lot more than I thought I did. And I didn't really realize that till I started to make this video. And I kind of compared and looked at everything of where I wanted it to be. So that is why this Ringside Collectibles Bret Hart is in my top 5. And actually, this one's getting a little scarce. I remember it being even discounted on Ringside for a while. I don't know if this sold extremely well at first, but now distance makes the heart grow fonder maybe, and now there's an upheaval for this one, and it's really climbing in price. So if you do want to get this one, I'd get it now before it goes too crazy. It could already be there for all I know. But Bret Hart Ringside Collectibles exclusive, number 4. Who's number 3? All right, we're at the number 3 spot for the top 5 Bret Hart figures of all time as voted by me, Kyle Peterson. Today, this is an interesting one because I think a lot of people, if you got a list together before we started filming and before you watch this, you'd probably say, oh, this one could possibly be number 1. I know a lot of people, this is a grail figure for many people, many collectors out there. A lot of people say this is truly the greatest Bret Hart figure of all time. And I've got to tell you, it's right up there. And this represents my favorite time frame of Bret Hart. We'll just show it right here. It's the Bret Hitman Hart Defining Moments Mattel. There it is. Canadian flag, title belt, leather, sunglasses, hair. This is Bret Hart when you ask people about Bret Hart. And I get why people say this is the number 1 Bret Hart figure of all time. But for me, I had to go number 3. I still absolutely love this. I absolutely love this one. I love it so much. You guys know I have 2. I got a double up club on all these defining moments. I got a loose set. I got a mint on card set. That's the way I do things. But I love this Bret Hart as well. That's why he's number 3. That's pretty high. As many figures as Bret Hart's had over the years. And like I said, this actually represents my favorite time frame of Bret Hart. I just loved that dangerous edge to Bret Hart a little bit in the whole Team Canada with the Hart Foundation. You watch that Spring Stampede pay-per-view, one of the greatest pay-per-views ever. I'll never forget watching that. That is the best time to be a Bret Hart fan, I felt. I always felt like anything could happen, and his feud with Vince, so legendary. I mean, I really do feel Bret helped usher in the whole Attitude Era and all that, and I don't know if he gets a lot of credit that he does deserve, but I loved Bret this time frame. I just thought it was he could do no wrong in my eyes. Remember, I'm hoping one of these days we get a ringside exclusive of Bret Hart in a wheelchair. I think that would be a really cool one. Give him the cast, give him all that. I think there's so much they could still be doing with Bret Hart, and I hope we get figures well into the future. Like I said, they got some things to work on at Mattel as far as getting the hair in his face, get that out of his face a little bit. But this Defining Moments one of the grail Mattel pieces. Out of all the Mattel Elite figures out there, this is probably one of, if not the most expensive. I can't think off the top of my head right now what is the hardest to get, what is the most expensive Defining Moment, but this one's got to be up there. It's got to be at the top of the list, probably top 5 at least, if not number 1. And it's well-deserved. It's super moment in time. These defining moments are a great collector's piece. It's funny how cheap these were for a long time on clearance, these defining moments. Then all of a sudden, people got on board and they skyrocketed. I'm glad I got a loose set and a mint on card set, and I got them for store retail prices. I'm very excited about that. And I think that is what has helped the Ultimate Edition figures become somewhat of a success they are right now, is because people have seen these defining moments shoot up, and there's a lot of people collecting the Ultimate Editions, mint in box, and having a loose set. So I don't know if the Ultimate Editions will be quite as worth quite as much as a whole as the defining moments, but we're already seeing some of those figures skyrocket, like the Michaels, the Rock, and some of those. So we'll see. But if you're looking for a modern day, that's what I would do. The Ultimate Editions, the modern day defining moment type figures. That's it. But number 3, a solid choice. I wouldn't fault anybody out there if this was number 1 on their list. That is for sure. But there it is. Defining moments, Bret Hart, number 3 on my top 5 list. All right, we're at the number 2 spot in the top 5 Bret Hart figures of all time as voted by me. And this one, once again, I got the nostalgia glasses on. You guys know I was a kid. My first wrestling figures I bought and collected were the LJN figures. I worked my way through Hasbro, into the Jakks. You guys see behind me, I've got a lot going on in the wrestling figure world. And there's been a lot of great Bret Harts out there, but this one might not look the best. But as far as my playing days, my nostalgia days, some of my favorite times with wrestling figures, this one takes the cake. And we're talking about Bret Hart Hasbro Series 8, I want to say off the top of my head. Was this Series 8 Hasbro? Now, we did get a Bret Hart prior to this, and that one was a game changer too. I just basically said, they're the same figures with a little bit of a repaint to them. And then you got the mail away in there, which you could add as well. But I always liked the darker skin-toned one. That was just my personal preference, but basically we could talk about both those Bret Harts, the light skin and this one. I like them both, but I just like the tan one a hair more. But you talk about times as a kid when you go to the store, and this is before the internet. You got to take that out of it, and you didn't know what was coming. And you walk into a store, and you see new figures. We talk about it on my reviews, weekly purchases a lot. I long for those days of just walking into a store, and oh my gosh, I didn't even know this existed, didn't know it was coming out. You'd find a new line like Hasbro's adding to the line, or you'd find a totally new line of toys out there. I remember G.I. Joe Night Force, for example, walking in, what is this? What is this Night Force all about? And that's what you got. I got that feeling the first time I saw the pale skin Bret Hart. The first time I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, this is a game changer. This is a game changer to my figure federation. I can't wait to buy this. I can't wait to get home, open him up, and then all the new feuds, all the new wrestling matches I can have. That was how we did it back in the day. I'm sure a lot of you guys did the same thing. Bret Hart was a game changer to my Hasbro fig fed. He came in, swept away with that Intercontinental title, worked his way up to the world title. It was just so great to have another heavy hitter in your Hasbro line to play with. And there was all kinds of stuff. I wish we would have had a matching Jim the Anvil Neidhart. That was a miss on Hasbro back in the day. It just stars didn't align. We got the taxi driver Jim Neidhart instead. And it was always tough. Sometimes it was time for the Hart Foundation to reunite, and they always looked weird together. And the Anvil his head is the size of Bret Hart's fist, which was always kind of weird. It is what it is. But, when you're a kid, you can do some smoke and mirrors and you can play with them. Now, is this Bret Hart figure perfect? Absolutely not. I always felt he was just too big, kind of bulky for what he is. Like his head sculpt with the tilt, he's just got a massive head compared to a lot of the Hasbros out there. But you looked away from that kind of stuff. It was Bret Hart. You didn't know any different. You didn't really complain as a kid. And it's funny when we talk Hasbro's, getting off on a tangent a little bit. The only one I ever remember being disappointed with in Hasbro, and probably to this day the most disappointing figure of all time for me, is that Ric Flair Hasbro. Just so heartbroken. So heartbroken to that figure. That is not what I wanted. That is not what I wanted. The head sculpt, that Rick Rude 1, 2, 3 kid. I hated that one. Just so heartbroken, because just like Bret Hart, Ric Flair added to your fig fed as a kid in the Hasbro line, game changer. But it just wasn't meant to be, and I remember using the Galoob Ric Flair over the Hasbro one. But this Bret Hart came in, just stole the fig fed, ran roughshod through the whole thing, and it was such a great moment going and seeing this on the shelf for the first time. And I'm kind of lumping them together with that first series with the pale skin as well of Bret Hart, lumping those together. But just seeing him and having him come into my figure fed was just next level, and it was just one of the greatest memories of my playing days with my Hasbros back in the day. And that is why this Bret Hart comes in at number 2. But who is taking the number 1 spot for Bret Hart? Who is going to be the best Bret Hart of all time for wrestling figures as voted by me? Well, he's up next. All right, here it is, the number one spot. My number one Bret Hart figure of all time. And maybe some of you guys can guess what this is. Maybe some of you guys can't. One thing you guys will note, spoiler for this one, there is no Jakks Classic Superstars figures in this set. It's kind of crazy. There's some really good ones. There's some okay ones. I would say some of my favorites from the Jakks Classic Superstar line, I really like that blue and black Bret Hart. A little bit of a forgotten Bret Hart because that's his Hart Foundation tag team wear. Always a miss. Jakks Classics unfortunately did this to a few times. They didn't put a matching Jim the Anvil Neidhart with that one. That was always disappointing. But I always like that Bret Hart because it's so different than any Bret Hart figure we've ever received before. I hope one day Mattel makes us a blue and black tag team Hart Foundation, be it singles, be it together, whatever they have to do to make that happen. I'd love to see that down the line, hopefully one day. And then there was that Montreal Screwjob 2-pack from Jakks Classic Superstars. That's a next level Bret. There's also a Jeff Hardy Bret Hart 2-pack, box 2-pack. That is a great Bret Hart as well. So there is some good ones. They just were right at number 6. We'll call it number 6, right outside of the top 5. And Mattel did a very strong job working on Bret Hart figures. And that's why they were, dominating this list. They had 3 of the top 5, and this is no different. This is another Mattel Bret Hitman Hart. And we're seeing a little bit of a theme as this was a Ringside Collectibles exclusive Bret Hart. Absolutely love this Bret Hart. Black and pink. This is an iconic pink jacket Bret wore. Iconic shades. An iconic figure. And when I look around at my elite, my 20-plus elite Detolfs around me, there's a few figures that always catch your eye when you're scanning the horizon. This Bret Hart in this bright pink catches my eye from day one. It's just an amazing figure, an amazing representation of a moment in time of Bret Hart. It's really kind of a shame this was a Ringside Collectibles exclusive, as it's a little bit rarer, obviously, than most figures out there in the Mattel regular Elite lines. This is a sleeper one, and this was another one that I don't remember it setting the world on fire when it first came out, but now is a heavy priced item. I would love to have one of these mint on card just to have because it pops so well. The pink, it's just so bright and vibrant, and it catches your eye from across the room. I know when I invite people down and they see my collection for the first time, this is one of those figures that catches their eye out there. So very, very cool Bret Hart figure. Hopefully you guys have this one as well. It's a little hard to get to nowadays, but even the back of this jacket is just next level. Just a very, very cool figure. Very solid figure. A little bit underrated too. You hear talk of it, but not as much as the Defining Moments. And that was Defining Moments number 3 for me. But I truly think Mattel's best work was right here on this pink and black attack Bret Hart in the jacket. So there it is. That is my Bret Hart top 5. Now I'm going to ask you guys in the comments. I want to hear your top 5 Bret Hart figures of all time. Do you have something from the WCW Toy Biz days in your top 5? It's funny, nostalgia, and if you were of the era playing with those, I could see that being in somebody's top 5. It's just all your representation of how you came into it. If you're a big Bret Hart fan, a casual fan, where you kind of fit. Everybody's list is going to be different, so I enjoy reading other people's lists. Maybe there's one I missed too. That would be the worst thing. It hasn't happened to me yet. We're still young in this video series, but I got to think sometimes there's going to be a video where I'm going to say, oh my gosh, that should have been my number 1, or that should have been my number 5 because I forgot about it. And that's, the way it goes sometimes. In these top 5 lists, they always could be changing. You never know. They add 2 more Bret Harts over the next couple of years that could totally jumble up this top 5 list. So there's going to be times, if this video series is still going years from now, we might have to revisit the Bret Hart top 5 or any of the other top 5 lists we do, as changes always happen. So very interesting times. You never know what to expect. I got to think there's going to be more Bret Hart figures. Probably my most wanted Bret Hart, I think I mentioned it earlier, was I really like to see him in a wheelchair. Give us a Ringside Collectibles exclusive injured Bret Hart in a wheelchair. I'd love to see that figure. I think that would be really cool. Maybe something different. Something different, and different is good in the wrestling figure game. So like I said, give me your top 5 in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a top 5 list every single Thursday. You don't want to miss a top 5 list. You don't want to miss Jakks Classic video. You don't want to miss a weekly purchases. You don't want to miss a fig hunt. And then on top of that, we're unboxing everything under the sun, plus daily Star Wars unboxings. There's a lot going on the channel. Need to tailor it back a little bit. Too much content. It's just out of control, but it is what it is. You can pick and choose and see what you like and see what you don't. So there it is. But this is Bret Hart Top 5. Make sure you follow me on social media at SirPaul64, Instagram, the_Kyle_Peterson, Pro Wrestling Tees, Kyle Peterson. Support the channel. Get your own Bret Hart t-shirt while you're there. So there it is for Bret Hart. I'm Kyle, and this was the Bret Hart Top 5.